I am emotionally drained in the best possible ways. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I'm giving you my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. No spoilers, so don't worry if you haven't seen the movie. I'll have a full spoiler review out next week when the movie comes out. Before I get into this thing, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below some of your predictions for this movie, your thoughts if you've seen the film, and of course subscribe and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 75,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. Without further ado, it's time to face the music. Let's talk Volume 3. So heading into this movie, we all knew this was going to be James Gunn's last MCU movie as he is now the head of DC. I had a feeling that this was going to be great and the hype was real. I really wanted to love this movie, and guys, it blew me away. I loved it, and it puts a smile on my face to be able to sit here and say that, because the MCU's been a bumpy road since Endgame, and this is like a true winner that I think will be just the people's movie of the summer. I mean, this movie fully delivered and then some. The marketing for this film went heavy on the fact that it was going to be one last ride, it's time to face the music, and really marketing it as the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy as we know them, and this was such a fitting conclusion to this Guardians trilogy and everyone's story within the franchise. Like, it felt like so much care was put into everyone's arc and just the overall production of the movie. Now, what I found really interesting was this was probably the darkest of the bunch in terms of Guardians 1, 2, and 3. Tonally speaking, this movie was dark as hell at times. Like, I don't even know. I feel like it could actually spook a lot of kids out there that go to see this movie. And just some of the subject matter was really emotionally draining and intense and might not be suitable for everybody. Like, the film opens on a pretty gloomy note with the soundtrack and just the subject matter. Like, people are down in the dumps to start this movie, and in many ways it's sort of a rise from the ashes type of story where we get our characters going on this 2.5-hour journey and rediscovering themselves in some ways and re-sparking a love amongst themselves. It's a very powerful story. And while it has its extremely dark and upsetting moments, it's still able to balance it with that classic Guardians humor and action so well. In fact, this might be the funniest of the bunch. I mean, all the Guardians movies have their fair share of humor, but I was laughing out loud multiple times here. I just thought that they were able to balance the seriousness with the comedic bits so well. Like Drax, a lot of people complained in Volume 2 that he was just a dumb joke the whole time. Well, in this film, he's hilarious, but also they balance out his heart and make him even more lovable than before. Star-Lord has his classic bits as well, and of course, the chemistry between the team is very present here. They have their just quips that are going to make you laugh out loud in the theater, but this humor all takes place in a fairly dark movie. But I gotta talk about the action here, because this movie's action-packed. Not from the start, but when the action hits, it is some of the best I've seen in the MCU. And I'm not just throwing that term around, because I know it's buzz and flash to say that. I'm serious when I say this. Look me in the eyes. There's a scene in this movie that I am dying to discuss with you guys that to me is one of the best choreographed fight scenes in the entire MCU and literally blew me away. The song choice mixed with the fight choreography and the way that it was shot, plus just the emotional impact of the moment itself, sends chills down my spine thinking about it. I am dying to go back to the theater and rewatch this one scene, and when the movie comes out on digital and this scene is on YouTube, I'll probably watch it every other day because it is that damn good. I mean, that was the highlight of the whole movie for me, and then we still got so much greatness to surround it. Speaking of the music, Guardians films are well known for having just bangers of soundtracks, and this film is no exception. I know that James Gunn actually put out the soundtrack prior to the film's release. I personally avoided it because I wanted to go in fresh and like have no spoilers for any of the songs that are going to be in this movie, except for the ones that are featured in the trailer. So I went in fresh, and boy did that pay off. There are some absolute bangers here, delightful music, feel-good music as I like to call it, and just like in the first two films, the music matches with every scene so well, kind of acting as its own character in the movie, really just lending to certain situations, and in the end, really just putting a smile on my face. Now, the emotions were high going into this movie, seeing as it was the final Guardians film, and the cast was literally breaking down talking about it at either Comic-Con or D23. The emotions are high here, and I'm not gonna lie to you, there's probably 4 or 5 times where I cried in this movie. Like, tears were swelling. There were a few times I had to wipe tears from my cheek. It really doesn't hold back and packs a heavy emotional punch, and it's just upsetting. I'm letting you know you need to bring your tissues into this movie. Now, heading into Guardians 3, Rocket Raccoon seemed to have the most prominent role based on the posters, the marketing, everything sort of pointing signs to him being the main character of the film, and in many ways, this is Rocket's movie. The way James Gunn was able to intertwine Rocket's backstory with the main mission of the film was done seamlessly. It was some of my favorite type of storytelling, where we have our main present-day plot of the film, but we're getting tons of backstory on Rocket through sort of flashbacks in a way. Really great storytelling, and James Gunn does it again. Now, a common critique of a lot of MCU movies is the fact that they have a weak villain. This movie does not fall into that category. The High Evolutionary in this film is one of the most despicable humans I've ever seen in a movie, period. Like, I wanted to jump into my screen and strangle the man. He made me that physically angry and upset me that much that I wanted to just slap him silly. I'll put the actor's name here, I don't want to mispronounce, but he's also in Peacemaker and a lot of other James Gunn work. He crushes it here as as this antagonist and is such a hateable character. Any scene this man was in, by the time that scene wrapped up, I felt my fist clenching because I just wanted to smack him so hard. That's how you know you got a great villain, when he gets that much of a visceral reaction from me sitting in the audience. I hated his guts. He's a great MCU villain. And with this being the last Guardians movie, everyone had their time to shine. It's not like it was all about Rocket. Everyone had an arc that came full circle in this movie, and we got so many great moments of them as a team together for one last ride. In fact, Gamora returns in this film, and seeing Gamora and Peter Quill's relationship develop is so well done. It reminded me a lot of the romance in the film La La Land. It pulled on my heartstrings in a good way and a bad way, but man, did it hit emotionally. In fact, this whole movie, if I had to describe it real quick to you, it'd be devastatingly awesome. It's got those moments that are gonna make you cheer and feel like you're watching a triumphant Guardians movie, but at the same time, it will probably shatter you emotionally and resonate really deeply with you, because it's a really rich story emotionally. In fact, everyone in this movie feels like they are finding themselves and really understanding their greater purpose in life, which just was perfect to see. We've gotten to know these characters since 2014, and now they're sort of discovering who they really are and what they desire to do for the rest of their lives. It's very sad, because it's kind of like something we can all apply to our own lives. Like, how long do we want to stay in this current situation we're in? And I really think Guardians 3 did a good job of exploring that concept in a heartbreaking way. Like, the movie just felt special. As I was sitting there watching it, I was like, this has the feeling of just a classic MCU movie, something that's been lacking in a lot of the recent projects, and I think that's because it has so much heart. The movie moved me to tears, made me laugh out loud. It had kick-ass action that really blew my mind the way that it was shot. Like, it's incredible stuff. It clocks in at 2.5 hours, but never once did I feel that runtime. It flew by. So if you couldn't tell by now, I absolutely loved Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's really the end of an era, and it feels bittersweet in a way, but this movie is special. In fact, it is in my top 10 favorite MCU movies, and possibly a lot higher. I'll have to stay tuned for my MCU ranking the weekend this movie comes out wide release, but I could gush about this movie forever. In fact, I probably forgot to mention a lot of things that I love. There's already moments that I'm quoting. The humor's a hit. The action is incredible. It's devastating, emotional, heartfelt, all of those things you would want in a conclusion to a trilogy, and it caps off this trilogy wonderfully, making it perhaps the greatest MCU trilogy we've ever received to date. The soundtrack is an absolute vibe. I'll be listening to that in my car for months, and in many ways, it felt like a Return of the Jedi ending where I just had a big smile on my face and felt like I was getting a hug as the credits rolled. I adore Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and if you guys love the Guardians, the movies, or the characters, or even just the MCU in general, this movie will be for you. So don't worry if you're like, oh, I'm worried it's gonna be overhyped. Trust me, you will enjoy this movie. I'm confident in saying that. Check it out in theaters opening weekend. It is a must. But that's gonna do it for my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm so happy that I can sit here and praise an MCU movie with literally no critiques. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. You heard it here first. Let me know down below your predictions for this movie, your thoughts. If you've seen it, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 75,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.